Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today we're going to go over my StamSorc build for update 40. This build is a lot similar to my last dual-wield ice staff StamSorc that I put up, but I wanted to make this one a little bit more accessible, and honestly, it feels just as strong, if not stronger. There's a lot less proc sets involved, and it's just overall, in my opinion, a lot easier to play, so I hope that you guys enjoy. One last thing, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do not forget to do that. It takes 2 seconds to just click that button. We're just about to hit 7,000 subscribers, which is really cool, so guys, thank you so much for being subscribed. I really appreciate that. So guys, let's look at our character sheet first. We're going to be an Imperial on our StamSorc. I'm always an Imperial on my StamSorc. In my opinion, it's best in slot. That overall reduced cost passive on all of your abilities is really solid, and it helps your sustain so much, especially when you just don't build into sustain besides that on StamSorc. Moving on to our attributes, we're going to have 16 points into health and 42 points into stamina to give us a max magic pool of 16k, a max health pool of 31.9k, and a max stam pool of 24k. And also, if you look at it, our penetration's also at 12.1k, crits at 31k. That's before our buffs even go up, so that's really nice overall. I really like this build. We're also going to be using the Thief as our Mundus Stone. This is going to increase our weapon and spell crit chance by 1,322. Also, we're going to be using Jewels of Mizrael as our food. It's going to increase our max health and our stam and magic recovery. And we're also going to be Vampire Stage 3 because Vampire Stage 3 helps our overall tankiness, and I just put it on all my builds. It's super helpful for your overall tankiness, and it keeps you alive in a lot of situations. Moving on to our gear, our first 5-piece set is going to be Shattered Fate. This is going to be our front bar set. We're going to have a heavy reinforced helmet, and the reason why we're using Shattered Fate is because it is a 5, 10, and 12-piece item set, but we're only using the 5-piece, and using that is going to give us 7,900 offensive penetration, which is insane. That amount of pen is absolutely nuts. Like, that is so much right there. So we are just hitting people so hard with that much pen. We're basically just cutting through them like paper. I really like it, honestly. So I've been putting that on a lot of my builds, and using this is really solid. And then moving on, we're also going to be using Dragon's Appetite as our chest piece as well. This is going to be a heavy reinforced chest piece. Right? The reason why we're using this is because it gives you a line of weapon and spell damage, 2 lines of stam recovery, so that's really good for your sustain as well. And also increases your done to bleeding enemies by 225. So that's also going to be doing overall damage. That's not a 225 weapon and spell damage. That's an extra 225. So if you hit somebody for 1,000 damage, now it's going to do 1,225 when they're bleeding. So that's awesome for your overall damage. That you're stacking so much different types of damage on your enemies when you're on this StamSorc, and overall, it's really nothing to be slept on. There's a reason why this set has been very meta for so long, and it's just continuing to be. This set is hitting so hard, and then on top of that, if that wasn't strong enough, doing 10 stacks of non-bleed damage is going to give you a heal of almost 10,000 as well, and that could stack every once per half second, so you're getting a nice heal every like 5 to 10 seconds basically. So honestly, guys, please use this set. It is super solid. We're also going to be using 1-piece light Balorg shoulders in Divines. We had 1 extra slot on this build, and honestly, I just want to use Balorg for this. Increases our overall weapon and spell damage, so that increases our damage. Also, it's going to increase our heals with some of our abilities, like Resolving Vigor. This, having higher weapon and spell damage is going to buff that as well. So I really wanted to use this. Moving on, we're also going to be using medium Dragon's Appetite hands in Impen. We're going to be using a light Shattered Fate sash as well in Well Fitted. We're also going to be using medium Dragon's Appetite boots in Impen, and heavy reinforced Dragon's Appetite legs. Our jewelry is going to be Shattered Fate necklace and just a Shattered Fate necklace in the infused trait with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. Get that weapon and spell damage as high as possible. Our other ring is going to be Ring of Dragon's Appetite in infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it, and our mythic is going to be Death Dealer's Fate and infused with a weapon and spell damage enchantment. Death Dealer's is a really cool ability, or really cool mythic that I've been really using a lot more lately. I know that you've seen it on a lot of my builds, and honestly, I just really like it overall. I've been putting this on my Nightblade, I've been putting this on my DK, my 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 StamSorc now. I'm putting on everything, even Warden. This goes on everything. So in my opinion, if you don't have this, please grind it out. It takes a little bit. Like some of the leads for it are really annoying, but basically what it does is it gives you a stack of health, magic, and stam every 2 seconds. And when you're at max stats, you get basically an extra 2,600 extra magic, stam, and health. So that's really good for your overall tankiness and just your overall you're just a lot chunkier that way. And I like it a lot. And on top of that, Death Dealers really works with Dragon's Appetite, because that heal that you get at the end of this is based off of your max magic or stam. So that's really cool. Death Dealers really increases that a lot. So when that's fully buffed up, I think that the Dragon's Appetite heal gets to about like 12 to 14k. So it's really solid. I really like it a lot. I definitely recommend using it. Moving on to our weapons, I'm using Shattered Fate axes. Our main hand is going to be Nirnhone with a shock damage enchantment on it, and our offhand is going to be sharpened with a disease or a flame damage enchantment on it. I don't know why this is shock and flame, honestly. You should use probably something along the lines of disease and poison. It doesn't really matter which one you have it on. Just don't use shock and flame. I don't know why I have that on. I've been hitting really hard and I'm not even fully optimized. What am I doing? Because basically the reason why you don't want to use shock and flame like I'm talking about right now is because our back bar is going to have Vadishron Perfected Ice Staff. That's going to be defending in the weapon and spell damage enchantment on it as well. And the reason why that is because you're going to put a tether between you and your enemies, and you're basically going to be doing flame, shock, and frost damage to them every second. And when you cast weakness to elements, which is what this ability is, it's going to put the flame and shock damage enchantments on them, so you don't need them. So use a poison and a disease enchantment right there, and it'll increase your overall damage a lot. Moving on to our skills, we're going to be using as our main spam ability Rending Slashes. Make sure you open up a lot of the fights with this, because once you start having this bleed effect on them, that is going to be what is proccing your Dragon's Appetite. So you're going to be hitting a lot harder when you have that bleed on them. Also, you're going to be getting a nice heal over time when you have this bleed on them as well, because of that Dragon's Appetite. Also, Camo Hunter is going to be your source of major savagery and prophecy, so it's going to increase your weapon and spell crit by 2,600. Also, you're going to get minor berserk for doing damage to the enemy's flank, which is cool, but I mean, you have another source of minor berserk on this build, so don't worry about that part. Also, Crystal Weapon, this is going to make your next 2 lighter heavy attacks deal an additional 7,600 physical damage, which is awesome. So make sure you're using this at all times. Also, it's going to reduce your enemy's armor by 1,000, so that's really huge for your overall damage. That's one less way to keep their armor up, and honestly, you're just hitting so hard. I know I've said that so many times, but to be able to combo this with Rending Slashes and all of your other abilities, I've been cutting through people like paper. I know I said that before as well, but I can't stress enough. This build has been hitting so hard, and it's been going above my expectations so much. So moving on to Bound Ornaments. Bound Ornaments, I really like this skill a lot. I wasn't sure whether to use this or an Execute, but once I kind of got into the habit of using this, I really felt like it was really strong, and the amount of pressure that I could provide really went through the roof compared to my actually just having Execute on here. So I like this because you don't need to actually activate this anymore. They changed that, so you're always gaining stacks always when you're in combat. So that's really awesome for your overall damage, where you could just activate that when you're at 4 stacks, and comboing that with your other damage abilities is huge. And then on top of that, that max stam increase by 8% is huge, because that's going to increase your overall sustain because you got more stam that way. And on top of that, it's increasing your max stam, so that's going to help your Dragon's Appetite heal a lot as well. So overall, I think that this is one of my new go-tos on Sorc. Bound Ornaments is really strong. And then also we're going to be using Thriving Chaos. This is going to be our ultimate on our front bar. This is going to be our main ultimate that we use a lot of the time, because this is going to give us a nice extra amount of extra dot pressure on them. And this is going to give you a nice bleed for 8 seconds to all enemies in a frontal cone of you. And the more enemies you hit, increases your damage done by 6% as well. So try and stack your enemies, hit them with this, and your damage is going to go through the roof if you can get multiple people on this. I've had, I think, about like 4 or 5 people in this at once, and I watched all of their health bars just drop. It was insane. They were just going so low. I really like this ultimate a lot. Moving on to our back bar, we're going to be using Crit Surge. This is going to be multiple things in one. It's going to be our Major Brutality and Sorcery, so this can increase our weapon spell damage by 20%. Also, dealing while active, dealing critical damage is going to heal you for 3,600 health, and that can occur once every second. So always having your damage on your enemies is huge because Crit Surge is going to heal you a lot. Please make sure this is up at all times. If you drop this ability, you're gonna honestly start to lose a fight very quickly, and you're gonna notice the difference in your health. So please make sure this is active at all times. Moving on, we're gonna be using a Hurricane. This is going to be your source of Major Resolve. So this is gonna increase your physical and spell resistance by 6k. Also, it's gonna give you Minor Expedition, so it's gonna increase your movement speed by 15%. Also, it's gonna give you a nice little AoE around you. It's not gonna do the most amount of damage, but at the end of the day, that damage can crit, so that if it does crit, boom, extra heal from Crit Surge. And on top of that, it's not the most amount of damage, but if you remember at our Dragon's Appetite, if your enemy is bleeding, any damage that you do from Hurricane is going to be increased by 225. So guys, it's so many abilities in one. It's awesome. It's my favorite source of Major Resolve in the game. And then Resolving Vigor, this is going to be a nice 5-second heal over time. So this is always my most amount of healing on any build. Always use Resolving Vigor, please. And then on top of that, you're also going to get Minor Resolve, so it's going to increase your physical and spell resistance by 3k for 20 seconds. So between Resolving Vigor and Hurricane, your physical and spell resistance is going to increase by 9k. So it's awesome. Make sure both of these are up at all times. Keeps you tanky. Also, Dark Deal, this is going to be you're going to be trading magic for a bunch of health and stam, and then on top of that, you're also going to be getting Minor Berserk, and Minor Force, so it's going to increase your overall damage done by 5%, so it's going to increase your critical damage done by 10% as well. So please try to make sure that's up at all times, especially when you're going to line up your burst, especially when you're going to line up your ultimate. Make sure you activate Dark Deal at some point, that way you have your Minor Berserk and Minor Force. It's going to increase your overall damage a lot. And also, it's just a great way to help sustain. Sacrificing magic, you don't really use magic for much on this build. This is going to be what it's usually most for. Dark Deal, Crit Surge, and like Hurricane, or I'm sorry, not Hurricane, I don't know why I said that, and Streak right there. And then finally, Ellie Susceptibility. This is going to be what's activating your Vatishron staff on your back bar. Also, this is going to give you Major Breach on your enemies, so it's going to reduce their physical and spell resistance by 6k. Also, every 7.5 seconds, the enemy is going to be afflicted with the Burning Shield and Concussion status effects. That's why, at the beginning of this video, I told you switch off these Shock and Flame damage enchantments on it, because you already have this ability activating that for you. So I don't know why I have that on there. I apologize. I didn't come prepared, but please use those poison and disease enchantments on that. Then back bar, we're going to be using Summon Charged Atro. I really like this for a lot of different reasons. I kind of use this a lot on my back bar because it gives you a lot of pressure relief. If you need a lot of AoE pressure real quick, Summon Charge Atro is really not something to be slept on. It does a lot of damage. On top of that, it's a really good way to clear out flags when you're taking a resource, and it's going to give you the one passive that I really like from this is it gives you increased stam recovery by 20% when you have it slotted. So we have this on our back bar to increase our stam recovery on our back bar, and Bound Ornaments is going to be on our front bar to increase our stam recovery on our front bar. So overall, just by having this slotted increases our stam recovery a lot. So, and on top of that, again, I can't stress enough, that pressure is really nice and people don't really see it coming a lot of the time. And then moving on to our champion points, our blue slottables are going to be Focus Mending, Deadly Aim, Fighting Finesse, and Untamed Aggression. Our red slottables are going to be Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Celerity. And our green tree, the main things that we really care about are Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. And that is the entire build, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed. I really like this build a lot. I can't stress that enough. It's one of my favorite builds that I've had so far, and I just really find it to be a fun, simple build to put together. The only tough things to get are the Vatishron Ice Staff, which I'm assuming a lot of you have by now because it's pretty old in this game, and honestly, you don't even need the perfected line, so just do normal Vatishron. Do it a few times. We've got curated drops nowadays, so just grind that out. It's really not that hard. A lot of people will have it on their builds, and there's a reason why. It's really strong for a reason, and I know the Death Dealers is kind of a pain to get, but again, that's something that I can't stress enough. put the time in, get that, and your builds are going to be a lot stronger in the future. I just want to help you guys come up with the best builds possible. Sometimes I have really meta builds, sometimes I have some off meta builds. This is somewhere in between where it's really strong, but it could be better in certain areas. But overall, it's a really fun build, and that's what this channel is all about, in my opinion. Is just having a fun build that I really care and I really like about. So guys, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. If you're still here by the end of the video, I'm curious, what is everybody's favorite color? Please comment in the comments below. Mine personally is, I like purple. I like that light purple, like a lavender color. So I want to know what your guys' favorite colors are. Let me know in the comments below. Also, liking the video helps me out so much. I can't stress enough that all that normal stuff that you hear from YouTubers, it really does mean a lot. Subscribing to the channel, liking the video, commenting, it really does mean a lot. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitch, my Twitch is going to be in the description as well. We're about to hit 10,000 followers on Twitch, which is massive. We're at like 9,600 right now. So guys, if you're not following me on Twitch, what are you doing? I stream 5 days a week. Come on, stop by. I'd love to see everybody there. But guys, I've talked you guys' ear off so much this video. I'm just gonna go. We're gonna get to the footage for this build now. So I hope that you guys enjoy the footage, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Later.